Peter Boolkah here, and welcome to today's edition of the Transition Guide. Now, today's episode, I want to look at, should we scale up our business or should we prepare for the recession? Now, this was a question posed to me by a client over lunch. And it kind of took me aback for a second because I was thinking, okay, what do you mean by scaling down? What do you mean about recession? And the reality is, actually, when you think about it, recessions come in 10 to 15 year cycles. That's what history has sort of taught us. Well, when you take that 2008, 2009, well, 2009 was the end of the last recession, and we're now in 2018, you do the math, well, it's like 9 years since the last recession. So it would be fair to say, if we take history as an example, perhaps we've got more good years behind us than we have in front. And that just happens to be a fact. So I said to my client, okay, so what are you thinking? Why this question at this moment in time? Because you're doing really well. You're growing 30% per annum. What's the problem? And basically what they said to me was, okay, well, we're growing 30% per annum. That's really good. And that's on a turnover of 10 million plus. So it's quite significant growth. But they're a little bit nervy about, okay, in order for us to sustain this growth, it's going to be a huge investment. We've got to sort of invest more in machinery, which I understand, but more importantly, we have to invest in people, because in order for them to particularly scale, they need to scale up their workforce. So we kind of looked at it and it was right. The reality is this. Let's just say it's 10 to 15 years. It could be a little bit longer, it could be shorter. Let's say it's 15 years and it's at the tail end of the trend. Well, the reality is, if we're in 2018 and we're talking about 15 years, well, you're talking about another 6 years before the next recession is due to hit. Well, that's 6 years of opportunity that, as a business, if you spend all that time and money in your marketing engine, in your sales engine, why would you want to not take the full benefit? So you don't want to cut your growth plan short. And if you take the 4 seasons, and if you take the UK economy as it is today, we are now in late summer, autumn. Well, autumn, any farmer knows that autumn's all about the harvest. And if anything, this is a time where you really make your money. So my suggestion to my client was, well, you've got to keep scaling up. You've got to continue as if nothing's happening. Only from the purpose being, there's many companies out there that will start scaling down and totally cut out the best years. So keep scaling it. Get ready for when winter does come. Now, I have clients out there that right now are sort of licking their lips and say, well, please let the recession come tomorrow. And the reason being, well, they've spent a lot of time saving cash. And one of their strategies for hypergrowth is, when a recession comes, they go on an acquisition spree. So, we all know it, that when you take a recession, when a recession does actually hit us, the reality is businesses are not all going to make it. You're going to have some businesses that are really strong and are ready to sort of see it through. But there are many businesses out there that are not properly structured, not properly geared, probably still haven't recovered from the last recession, don't have the cash in their business, and as soon as it turns, well, it wipes them out, puts them into administration. And as sad as it is, my client's strategy is actually around getting businesses out of administration, because they know that they can buy them at a really good price, add them to their system, and really take a bigger share of the market. So you have to have a strategy, and you have to have that growth strategy, that scale-up strategy, and you can have a scale-up strategy actually during a recession. But for a lot of people, when a recession comes, there are no options for them. Whether it's a really market-specific thing and the downturn comes, and I'll give you a great example, probably construction is a great example, where they have all these really great boom years, but then when construction crashes, it's a magnificent industry to crash, because it literally switches off overnight. Now, when that happens, as much as you've got your scale-up strategy, you do have to have a scale-down strategy. And one of the biggest killers in the last recession was people didn't have a scale down strategy. They were carrying really heavy costs, loads of infrastructure, and they thought that, okay, do you know what, it's going to be one of those quick ones. We'll ride it through. Unfortunately, it was a global recession, the worst we've seen in nearly 100 years. The results of that was quite devastating, and it took out so many great businesses, so many household brands that perhaps we've been used to growing up with for 60 or 70 years. Because they couldn't react to the situation, they died. So very much what I would say to all entrepreneurs out there, yes, scale up strategy, totally crucial. Scale down strategy, a plan B, an absolute. Because when things start to go the other way, you've got to be ready and prepared to make the difficult choices and make them quickly. Because the last thing you want to do as a business is eat away at any capital reserves you have. Now, for those of you that are sort of tuned in today, you're probably thinking, all right, you know, I'm fairly confident with a sort of scale up strategy. Maybe I need some help a bit more with my scale up strategy. Maybe I need some help with my scale down strategy. Well, if that is the case, head over to Boolkah.com and get in touch and let us see how we can help you with your scale up or scale down strategy. That's all for today's episode. And always remember that change is important, and that unless we grow and learn, we're not going to be ready for what the future throws at us. And therefore, failing to learn is learning to fail.